Hi everyone, my name is Paula Erizanu. I'm the culture editor of the Calvert Journal, and we are here to discuss the documentary My Father Antonín Kratochvíl with Czech-American photographer Antonín Kratochvíl himself, who has been World Press Photography winner 4 times, and the director of the film, Andrea Sedláčková. Unfortunately, Michael Kratochvíl could not join us, as well as he is volunteering in a hospital. And this event is part of the Made in Prague festival in the UK, which promotes Czech culture. Well, now because we're going online, it's promoting Czech culture worldwide. Hello to you both.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Andrea, can you tell me a little bit about how the idea for the film came about and how you decided on presenting Antonín's life and career from the perspective of his son, Michael, in the film?
I was asked by the producer of the movies to do it. It wasn't my own idea. I met Antonín to see if we can work together. He said yes.
What did you say?
And so I knew Antonín before, of course. I knew his pictures, and I have seen some documentary short reportage about him. So I found that, which is really interesting. He is really very much interesting, of course, but it would be really interesting also for me if I put inside also the story of his son, and if the son will be the person who is asking the questions. So they were both agreed both with this. So I was happy, and we started the adventure.
So it was your idea to actually tell the story from the perspective of the son?
Yes, it was.
Why did you think that would be an interesting angle?
Because I think that Antonín is not so easy to penetrate it. Sorry, I will translate from the French some words. I don't know if it works.
That's fine. Yeah. He's hard to read. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so I suppose that perhaps Mikhail will have some key which will open more Antonín than he opened normally, and also I wanted that it was the story about 3 generations, about the father of Antonín, because 3 of them they are photographers. So for me it was quite normal to put Mikhail also to speak not just about his father but also about his great father.
Yeah, that is quite unusual to have 3 generations of photographers in one family, right?
Yeah.
So Andrea, what was your relationship as a director with Mikhail and Antonín? Did you share the kind of what you were shooting with them? Did you show the edits to the film as you went along, or was it a surprise for them when they saw the final?
It was a surprise to Antonín. I don't know. I didn't show anything, and I showed the synopsis, the script of the movie, the main idea, because I wanted to be sure that they will agree with this. But after, I think that we shoot it during 1 year or something like this, and no, they didn't ask me never to see the pictures, but after they saw the final edit, and they were very nice because they asked me to change 2-3 things, but really the small things. I even don't remember what it was.
Okay, so not some key kind of criticism or something. So you've and Andrea, and then we'll switch to Antonín. You've done quite a few award-winning features as well as a documentary about Václav Havel, how would you compare your experience of shooting My Father Antonín Kratochvíl with your other kind of film and documentary making experiences?
I was making the documentary movies 20 years ago. Then after I switched to the long feature movies. And the movie about Václav Havel, it was the real exception after 20 years, because Arte asked me to do it. And it was something special because I decided to do, I didn't make any interview. The movie is just the editing movie. It's just the how to say, archive movies. And so to shoot with Tonda and Mikhail, it was something new for me after 20 years, because normally if you are making the movie with the actors, they have the script and they are doing what you want, which is not the case in the documentary movie. I think it needs some more psychology or something like this. I'm not very strong inside, I think. But I try to do my best. But it's another work. That's true that I prefer it in the past to make the movies with the actors because they are really they're really following your idea. But I think it's also nice to be surprised that somebody is not doing what we want.
So it sounds like Antonín was a rebellious kind of character in the film. Antonín, what was your experience like of being part of this film? Did it come naturally to you, or was it quite difficult? How do you think about the film now?
No, it was, I lived in the movies a lot, and I understand the process, and Andrea was totally incredible. And I gave her as much as I could, and of course I kept something to myself. And so yeah, it was a pleasure.
I don't suppose you're going to share with us what you kept to yourself.
No, I won't because you always have to keep something for yourself, But I think most, Andrea, I don't know about you, but I think I gave you a lot of things. So it was okay. No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Michael might have, too bad he's not here. Maybe he would collaborate a little bit more than me.
So Antonín, you said at one point in the film that you developed your eye as a photographer while being in prison in Sweden. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that, and whether you meant that the time in prison helped you to be more attentive to the change of light and shadows, or what exactly was it that helped you develop your eye there?
I don't think I developed my eye in prison. I think it was just a journey for me in memories, nostalgic memories, because I had time to think about just about being very abstract, and so that's what I probably meant. I developed my skills at the art academy I studied in Holland, and art, music. I think I became a better person, and with my eye, I just developed my style by my approach through my experiences as a human, and then I put it together with visual context, and there it is. I mean, I really never thought about it. I just did it.
Yeah, because you said that in a different interview that a photographer doesn't shoot with a camera; they shoot with their experiences and everything that makes them a person. What do you mean by that?
Well, in my brand of photography, which is documentary, you don't work with your brain, because if you process what you see, you miss the essence. You have to feel it. You have to work from your underbelly.
That's beautifully said. Antonín, has this film changed the relationship between you and your son, both the shooting of it and then seeing it?
I think a little bit. It's never easy to discuss these things fully, and there's always something hidden. Of course, we are all weighted down with our past, including Andrea. So, the commentary is a iffy thing. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because there are quite a few moments in the documentary when Michael shares quite difficult emotions to the camera. He says at one point, "My father has a good heart, but sometimes he's a coward," which is like such a difficult thing to digest, both as a father and as a person. And I was wondering whether like you were shocked or surprised when you saw what he said to the camera.
I don't think I'm covered. Sometimes I don't address the issues maybe as I should, but it's not about being covered. It's more about being polite.
That's really interesting. I wonder to what extent that's also like Westerners' perspective versus a kind of more Eastern European perspective as well.
I think there must be, because I spent almost 50 years living someplace else than here. So my life has been formed someplace else.
Yes, I can totally understand that. Antonín, you've managed to photograph both the most kind of glamorous aspects of life, with your photo shoots of David Bowie or George Clooney, but you've also photographed the most tragic and gritty and miserable of human experiences. In the film, you say that sometimes, when you were doing all of these glamorous photography and some tragedy was happening in the world, you felt like you needed to be there, and you left everything and you just went to war zones. I wanted to ask you, how did you decide on which subjects to photograph? Did you do a lot of research before going there? Did you have a plan about what you wanted to photograph? Can you take me through your process of photographing human tragedy?
Well, I do quite a lot of research before I go into a war zone. Especially, I try to find a lot of information, and also I try to find to expedite my undertaking and my mission, because to orient yourself in a war zone or some critical country where something is horribly wrong, you need a lot of help and a lot of local insight. You have to rely on that information, and so these people who are helping you must choose wisely, because they might also mislead you into something you don't really want to say, or you don't want to propagate. So it's not an easy thing, and also you have to rely on your experience. You have to feel like, yeah, but this guy or this person is taking me the wrong way and in the wrong direction, and you need to correct that, because sometimes you have an idea where you're going in and the situation on the ground is completely different, and you have to rely on your experience and your intuition. So you might come out with the right information.
Can you give me an example of a case where you had something in mind and you ended up seeing something totally different on the ground?
It's, I think 80%.
Wow.
Is always different when you get there. You know what I'm saying? Because you might do research and whatever, and then you get there and it's completely different. So you need to react very swiftly and correct your ideas.
And in the documentary, you say that you felt it as a duty in a way, or like you were drawn to photograph human suffering, even when you were like one of the most successful photographers in New York. Can you tell me a bit about like what exactly drew you to photographing human suffering, to these to, I don't know, photograph the genocide in Rwanda, the war in Iraq, so many revolutions? Was it a desire to share, to draw attention to what was happening, or what exactly was the impulse?
Well, you know, every time when I was on the verge, when I was about to make some good money in commercial field, because I was going in between, because of my past, I rejected it and went back on the field of, you know, because I knew how to do it, and I can also, I had a great empathy for the underdogs, and that basically what stopped me from shooting fashion for the Vogue magazine or whatever was presented.
I understand.
I'm happy that I did that, because in the end, I think I was good at it and I could contribute.
In the film, your current wife talks about certain manifestations of your post-traumatic stress disorder, like waking up in the middle of the night to move furniture around the house in order to barricade your family from danger. You did mention in other interviews that photographing suffering involves suffering as well for you, even if you're there as a kind of as someone watching it rather than being the main subject of it. You've never, however, you've never been explicit about what exactly this suffering entailed for you. You never talked about your post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was wondering whether it felt exposing for you that she mentioned this in the film, and how you look back on these moments of vulnerability.
Well, I think it was very subliminal, and I don't remember my nightmares. I had it for 20 years, maybe. My wife can tell you more about it. I think it touched me, I'm sure. But I never went to a, psychiatrist, or more likely we always met with my colleagues and talked about it, because we shared the experiences, and I think that's how we sort of clean our minds till next time.
So your nightmares, you don't actually remember as strongly as your wife does? No,
I don't. I just know that I have moved furniture and threw them off the beds and start shouting and take cover, and kind of strange things. I performed at night without remembering it in the morning.
That is extraordinary. Andrea, I'm interested in how you thought about representing Antonin's relationships to women. in the beginning of the film we get a joke, but which is also quite a vulgar response from Antonín about what helped him cope in prison in Sweden. And it's only in the end of the film that we find out about the Me Too era kind of allegations of sexual harassment. And Antonín's current wife appears to have a central role in discussing those accusations and kind of rejecting them, saying she laughed out loud when she heard of them. But you don't ever interview any of the women who did accuse Antonín of harassment. And I wanted to ask you how you made the decisions about depicting both these allegations and Antonín's relationships to women more generally in the film.
I made a movie about the life and work of Antonín, which I admire very much, and I was really happy that he opened to me his world. And I think this is just one step in his life. This story with harassment. I don't believe it. So I knew that I have to speak about it. But for me to go to look for somebody in New York, to look for the woman and say, is it true? Because we don't know if it is true. There was no process. So now for me it was important to mention it, because it made part of the life of and adventure of Antonín. But I think that the position of Gabriela, his wife, is very important, his sons. And yes, Antonín, he is wild. He's speaking to the woman in the way which is perhaps not normal in New York today, or in the States today, which is just normal in Eastern Europe. So his answer to my question in the film is that the prison is plain of the people which are telling that they are innocent. So I think this is the good question of him.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of do get Antonín's perspective in the film, I guess. But yeah, if you want to add anything to this, Antonín, you're welcome to now.
It was just a media lynch, invention of two women which have been part of our agency and maybe didn't succeed as they wished. So it was more interest against my agency through me. When I analyzed this accusation, which really hurt me deeply, because it was from the girl, one girl was complete innovation, and the second one, I said something stupid probably 30 years ago, but then it was the time in US, especially, that everybody tried to, pile shit on guys, and it's I call it the me fui, man fui kind of me movement. But I don't agree with the harassment of sexual harassment of women, but I think my slate is clean. This is all I want to say about it.
Okay.
I don't dwell on it. I'm past it, and that's it.
A question to you both. Is there anything that got left out of this film that you wished was in there, or is there anything that you would have wanted to change about it now, or something that has happened since then that has actually been quite important to you?
For me, it's good. For me, it's perfect. And Antonín?
Well, life goes on. I had great retrospective here in Prague. published several more books. I'm working on several more books. So, you know, everything is, Andrea is great. And
Antonín is great. I'm for nothing.
You know, some people like it, some people hate it, but you know, that's the thing. Always, you know, some people like it, some people don't like it, blah, blah, blah. I like it.
You like the film?
Yes.
Good. And you touched upon what you're working on at the moment. Can you give us a bit more details about what the book you're currently doing is about? Or
well, I published one book about the things I've seen. Now I'm doing the second one, part 2, and I have a great retrospective, which is still on in Prague. I don't know if you're gonna ever get here, but it will be there to January. And you know, things are still rolling, and it's life is good.
And for you, Andrea, what's next? What are you working on at the moment?
I'm writing a book because of coronavirus, and I have a script for a long future movie, which we are trying to find the money. So I hope that we will do it. And I'm also preparing a documentary film about Toyen, which is a painter, Czech painter living in Paris in the 50s and 60s.
So you are coming back to documentary making?
I don't know. It's, you know, it's. I'm also writing a book, also preparing documentary, also preparing the long future movie. So, in my profession, you never know. You never know which movie you will really do or which movie you will not do, because there is a lot of also things which finally you are just preparing.
Okay, is there anything you wanted to add, you would have wanted me to ask or to mention?
I add that I love Kratochvíl, both of them, Antonín and Michael, and Gabina and Vejna. And the small boy also, great one.
Oh, greetings to your family too.
Okay, I think with these love declarations, it's probably a good time to stop and allow the audiences to watch the film if they haven't, or to get on with their lives after seeing this really fascinating film and life.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for your.
Czech Centre London